months. Here she is explaining what we do and don't know at this point.
It is undoubtedly true.
Shooter! Okay, so in today's video, we're going to take a look at the most unfunny man alive. No, not me, clever clogs. John Oliver. John Oliver is pretending not to see why it's even an issue that all these women are getting battered by men in sports all over the world now. It's an interesting time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Let's get into the video.
Who's Daniel Boland? Oh, Daniel Boland, this is a heavy hitter. Do you guys know who this is?
That trans women will maintain advantages in some sports. Probably not so much in endurance sports.
Wow, it seems the only sport where sex doesn't give you an advantage at all is in mental gymnastics, isn't it? Because what this lady is trying to say here, I think, is that in endurance sports, the advantage is more slight, right? So I think what she means is if a woman competes against a biological man in, say, a marathon, and he finishes the race, and then many minutes later she finishes the race, it's like, oh, damn, you know, the consequence is, oh, if only I could be a bit faster, if only my legs could be a bit longer and a bit twitchier, I could win that race. Whereas the consequences of competing against biological men in, say, a contact sport are sort of having to be fed through a straw for the rest of your life, brain damage and the like.
In size and strength sports, trans women will also have some physiological disadvantages. Our larger frames are now being powered by reduced muscle mass and reduced aerobic capacity, and that can lead to disadvantages in terms like quickness, recovery, endurance, things that maybe aren't quite as obvious as being bigger and stronger.
Well, I've got some pretty radical ideas about how you can stop your muscles wasting away, but you probably don't want to hear them. Look, just because somebody's choosing to do whatever they're doing to their own body doesn't mean they get to compete against women. Sorry, it's like, well, look at me, I'm fucked. I'll just go and beat up the women now. It's just, that's crazy.
Right, bigger and stronger bodies are not automatically advantaged in every scenario.
Oh, John Oliver, you great buffoon. So disingenuous, so unfunny. Look, we understand there are some sports where women can compete against men. They exist already. Show jumping, many motorsports, all right? They allow women to compete against men. There's no problem there. We also know that there is never a scenario where women can compete against men in football, in basketball, in rugby, in boxing. We do not need any investigation. The jury isn't out on this, not even in your own mind. You husk, you shell of a person. You disingenuous prick.
I mean, put The Rock in a Pure Bar class and see what happens. I mean, we know what would happen. He'd take a video of himself, caption it, "Mad respect to these mamas, everyone go see Moana 2, and try to use it to sell his tequila before eating 13,000 pancakes and drinking a cow. We know what would happen.
All the advocating for women getting absolutely smashed by men aside, can we just note how horribly unfunny John Oliver is? I really want that to be a key point that you take away from this video, okay? John Oliver, terrible, all right? He really is. 13,000 pancakes and drink a cow, The Rock. Ugh.
But the degree of difference here matters because we expect a certain amount of difference in athletics. Taller basketball players are expected to compete against shorter ones, faster soccer players compete against slower ones. Michael Phelps was allowed to compete with other swimmers despite being part dolphin.
Despite being half dolphin. Oh, dickhead. Look, this whole fucking thing, again, oh my god, I can't believe it's still going on. So what you suggest is that we do away with men and women's sports, which we've had forever, and that everyone was happy with, by the way, until about 6 years ago when literally the whole world lost its goddamn mind. Everyone was happy with with things the way they were, and it should never change. All right, but the suggestion, what is it? That we should divide people up into 1,000 different divisions based on the percentage of twitch fibers they have in their quadriceps, or their levels of estrogen, their bone density. I say bring back the Negro Baseball League, but nobody's listening.
And crucially, none of the studies I've mentioned so far bear much relevance to what these new laws target, which is youth sports, usually of all ages. And the research there is even more scant. We have no research about how being trans or undergoing gender-affirming treatment impacts athletic performance in teens. And when it comes to kids before the onset of puberty, I could talk about the studies showing the subtle performance differences between boys and girls, but I'd argue when you're talking about 7-year-olds, as a practical matter, that's a point where lots of school sports are co-ed anyway, and a key difference between competitors on a field can come down to whether a kid was born in October or April.
Whoa. Calm down there, John Oliver, right? You're kind of speed running through a number of issues. And first of all, yeah, my 6-year-old boy plays basketball and there are girls in his league, and that's not an issue. Everybody, they're 6. Nobody cares. They're all learning how to throw and catch still. There's no issue there. By the time they've hit puberty, yeah, that's kind of really important because there are massive differences between boys and girls at that age. I don't know if you've noticed. But of course, John Oliver's one of those little wormy men who, of course, being terrible at sport himself, doesn't really care what happens to sports. It's funny, isn't it? These people who are campaigning for it, they're either these trans men who want to go in and batter the women, or they're little wormy guys like John Oliver, or they're just politicians with an ulterior motive, right? What do you call those people? The people who want to watch the world burn. Machiavellians. Opportunists. The amazing thing to me is the way everyone who's talking about this is just sort of like, well, we've got to figure out what we're going to do with these hundreds of thousands of kids that are coming into puberty and they've been on puberty blockers for years. What? Why? Is nobody looking around and screaming and going, oh my God, the world is on fire? Or is that just me?
And at this point, you might be saying, well, I don't need to wait for scientific research. This is all common sense, and I know what I've seen online. But a lot of what you've seen may not be quite what you think it is, both when it comes to trans athletes' impact on competition or safety.
Ah, yes, of course. If all else fails, everything you think you're seeing, it's not really happening. You've been brainwashed. It's Andrew Tate. Have you seen Adolescence? Have you seen Adolescence yet?
Have you watched Adolescence yet?
Still, let's engage with the underlying premise of that question from the world's most famous sports cheater, that those assigned male at birth are automatically going to have certain immutable physical advantages. That gets raised constantly, which is why we're going to spend most of our time talking about trans women and girls, even though in these 5 states, these bans impact trans boys in schools too. It is obviously true that on average, cisgender men and post-pubescent boys have some specific athletic performance advantages, though the relative size of that advantage also depends on the sport and the event. In swimming, for instance, male athletic performance advantage is roughly 13% in the 50-metre freestyle, but less than 6% in the 1500-metre free, which is still clearly significant. But in general, there's a lot of overlap in the average performance ranges of men and women. Basically, it is not the case that any man is going to be stronger or more athletic than every woman.
For fuck's sake. Nobody is saying that. You retard. How it...
Which is sometimes what gets implied here, including by Donald Trump, who brought Riley Gaines, the former college swimmer who's become one of the most prominent voices on this issue, on stage to say this.
Just to show you how ridiculous it is, look at me. I'm much bigger and much stronger than her. There's no way she could beat me in swimming. Do we all agree?
That was a joke, John. You know, like the thing you do on your show. Well, yeah, to be fair.
I don't agree, but I would like to see it. I would like to see the 78-year-old president try to swim in water against a former D1 swimmer. I'd like to bear witness to that event and whatever happens after it as a result of it occurring.
Okay, you're rambling again, John Oliver. You're rambling your way through. Do they think if they just speed run through all of their writers' jokes, that it will be funny? I mean, well, yeah, the audience are lapping it up, aren't they? Christ almighty! We share a planet with these fools.
I would like to see Donald Trump swimming against a woman, and then if they won against a woman, I'd like to see that, and that would happen, and then The Rock would eat some pancakes, 30,000 pancakes, and drink a cow.
Say something funny, John.
Last year, for instance, Peyton McNabb tweeted a video of her confronting a trans woman with the caption, "A man using the girls' bathroom at Western Carolina University, unreal," which is really nasty.
Oh, it's really nasty, isn't it? Look, no. Sorry, it's just sane. And maybe you want to cut Peyton McNabb a little bit of slack. You know, what with the brain damage and all. The brain damage she got when a biological man, smashed her brains in a volleyball match a year or two ago. So, you know, I guess that might have been, you know, a side effect of the brain damage. Now, maybe she's a bit more confrontational now whenever she sees a trans man in a women's space. Trans man, trans woman, whatever.
And for the record, ambushing strangers just minding their own business is not what girls' bathrooms are for. Girls' bathrooms are for gassing each other up, making best friends in 30 seconds, complimenting tops, tucking in tags and zipping up dresses while one girl says, "OMG, that lipstick looks so good on you." The other says, "30% off at Sephora right now." And the first girl says, like, now? And she responds, "Yeah, I went yesterday." She says, "Oh, you're my hero. I've been looking for a nude that goes to my blotchy skin tone." And the other says, "Girl, stop it. I would kill for those freckles. You know people are buying them now." And the first one's like, "You're right. We gotta be loving ourselves." And the other one is like, "We absolutely do. That is what girls' bathrooms are for."
So as I say, one of the key takeaways from this video is that John Oliver is painfully unfunny. I hate him. And he's a disingenuous prick. And what else? Nothing else. Nothing else important was learned today. Alright, if you've enjoyed the video, give the video a like, let the universe, let the algorithm know what a lovely time you've had. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Join all my social media under this video to get informed when I bring out a new video. And if you want to help out with the channel even further, you can join my Patreon. Oh, we had a controversial video out on Patreon yesterday. YouTube wouldn't allow that. They might not allow this one, to be fair. You might be watching this on Patreon now. We'll see. I'll see. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Have you watched Adolescence yet?
Everyone is talking about it. It is prompting conversations about toxic masculinity, smartphone use, young men feeling that they're being ignored, the idea of misogyny being increased in school. Why would you not want to know what people are talking about? It's really confusing that you don't want to know why, how this has made an impact, how parents are now saying we need to know more about smartphones.
You're comparing adolescence with casualty.
Adolescence has made more of an impact than any politician has on parents and when it comes to the issue of smartphones and misogyny, and yet you are saying, despite that, you don't need to know about.